Just to confirm, speech number 10, right?
Yes.
Okay. Coming up next, closing off his competent communicator track, we have John O'Mara, Just Fit Enough. Just Fit Enough, John O'Mara.
To suppose that the eye, with all its inimitable adaptability for adjusting the focus to different distances, for admitting different amounts of light, and for the correction of spherical and chromatic aberrations, could have been formed by natural selection seems, I freely confess, absurd to the highest degree. Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests, that line is from Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species. And that's actually the paragraph that starts his idea on the evolution of life, and that natural selection explains the diversity of life that we see on this planet. That idea, and although Darwin never used the term, that idea has become known in many ways as survival of the fittest. I'm sure the term everybody is familiar with. And if you say the word survival of the fittest in that context, you might think of the grace and speed of a thoroughbred horse, or the efficient deadliness of a great white shark. But I thought of the term the other day. I was on my porch. It was 8 o'clock at night. I was reading, and a skunk ran across my backyard. Has anyone ever seen a skunk in their nature?
Yes.
They're disgusting. And beyond the odor, which is obvious, they have no grace. They waddle. This is the best way, and they try and climb up to the flower pots and stuff like that, and they can't climb very well. And so I was thinking, you look at a skunk, and survival of the fittest. It doesn't have claws. It doesn't have teeth. It's not fittest of anything. It just happens to emit an odor that every other species on this planet pretty much finds despicable. So the skunk is not the fittest, I hope. The skunk is an example of, it's just fit enough. It has got a talent that makes it fit enough to survive. I'm going to give you another example. This is a rendering, because there are no good examples. This is a dodo bird. The dodo bird went extinct by 1681. Dodo bird's about 3 feet tall, 40 to 50 pounds, can't fly. And it was from the island of Mauritius, off of Africa. And because there's no predators on it had lost the flight syndrome. It used to just walk up to the European sailors that showed up starting around 1600. And perhaps not surprisingly, it lost out to the predators. And the extinction of the dodo bird, within 80 years of meeting Western Europeans, kind of was the first light in a lot of people's eyes that humans could cause extinction in a creature. But it was 3 feet tall and had no ability to attack and didn't run away. So the dodo bird didn't survive its encounter with man, but my proposition would be that the dodo bird wouldn't have survived an encounter with the pack of Jack Russells. It was just fit enough for the veritable Eden it grew up in, but it wasn't fittest in any real sense of the word that you might think of fittest. The term survival of the fittest is often used in capitalistic and free market societies to describe the rise and fall of businesses and companies and ideas. I experienced that firsthand. I worked as a trader at the New York Stock Exchange, and when I arrived at the New York Stock Exchange in 1998, they were trading stocks basically the way they had for 100 years. Not much different. They'd given us phones, but you're only allowed to call another person in the building. You couldn't even call outside the building. It survived because a series of regulations and rules protected its market share. And the people in charge and the people like me saw no reason to change. In the mid-2000s, that did change. Those regulations changed. There was a scandal that caused a lot of the political cover that we had to lose out. And we lost market share, and that career disappeared because alternate trading systems, better trading systems, grew up and replaced what we did. And for me, the ironic part was they realized what was happening as was happening, and kind of right when I left, they added this ability to communicate with the outside world, to communicate with anyone at the building at an instant from a handheld device. So we were never better capable of doing our job than that we were in the moment we left, but we never did less business. that is not just fit enough. Fit enough had gone past us. Leaving the New York Stock Exchange, and starting my own business roundabout way led me to Toastmasters and this club. And what I find amazing about this club and this organization is that this is a place that just fit enough. It's not in this scenario. That is not acceptable. And it starts from the very structure. I'm going to speak here, and then someone is going to get up and come up, and they are obligated, really, to tell me things I can improve. And later on, someone else is going to come up and say how that person could have improved his evaluation. So just fit enough is never works, and it changes. There are other things that you learn. That you learn movement, things I never thought about in speech. How do you move around a room? How does that add? How do you interact with people? How to better interact with your audience might be better. You learn things by watching people do something that's not in the book. When I first came to the club, I sat for 6 months in a corner. I never said anything. And one day they had a lot of table topics, and they asked if a guest wanted to get up. And there was a question, something about the healthcare. Healthcare was the topic of the day that had just been passed. And I sat on my hands. Saul, our Toastmaster today, got up, and he gave an answer. And does anyone remember what he said?
No.
I actually don't either. But it brings up another point. One day, when we were bringing in our new president, Patricia, our old president was at her last day. It's Rochelle Rice, and we had a governor from the region come, and she said, "Does anyone want to say any words about Rochelle?" And it was just, I was personally unprepared. Rochelle had been a really great leader to me. She'd been, and I'm not just kissing up to her because she's evaluating. She'd been an inspiration. She'd shown faith in me. She allowed me to lead our annual awards thing when I didn't really think I was appropriate or really good enough to do it. I should have gotten up. Saul got up. Saul got up. It was quiet for a second. I think everyone was shocked. But Saul got up. And do you remember what he said?
No.
I don't either. That's actually the point. The point about communicating is that ability to get up when nobody else expects you to or nobody else is doing it. So I don't remember what Saul said, and I know he didn't trip all over himself walking up there, but it probably, it wasn't a super memorable speech. It wasn't an opportunity for a super memorable speech. What I remember is that Saul got up, and I think that's something you learn when you come to this club that you wouldn't learn. Another example, I might say, hi. What's your name?
Rohit Anand.
Oh, say that again?
Rohit.
Rohit.
Rohit? Yes.
Okay. Rohit, things you should not do at a Toastmasters meeting is, first of all, you have to make all the guests feel comfortable. And coming up and sitting next to them in the middle of the speech would not necessarily be an example of that. You should also probably not sit down in the back of the room. And the reason you might want to do that, Rohit, is the people at the other side of the room have difficulty seeing me now. They might be able to hear me, but they can't see me. If you look closely, I'm sure you're seeing steam coming out of Penelope's eyes in the corner over there, for violating that rule. But another thing I have learned in Toastmasters, and the great thing about this club and the organization, is that yes, there are rules to everything. There's rules to speeches. This is a place you can come and break those rules. You can break those rules. You can see if that works for you. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't work, well then I know it doesn't work. Where that's not always an option. The dodo bird didn't get to see if it could fly one day. I didn't get to change the rules in the New York Stock Exchange while I was working there. So, 10th speech, my message, what I want to inspire you. Don't accept just fit enough. Not just here, whatever you're doing, whatever job you're in or where you are in life, it can change. It can change unexpectedly. Don't accept just fit enough. Go for further. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the members of this club for not accepting it in me and for giving me the ability to grow in speaking and as a leader and as a person. Thank you.